6.5 years now. I've been doing this 6.5 years. And when I get someone that is one of the reasons I do what I do, and not just it's stand up, but it's like with music and everything. It's like you are probably one of my favorite frontmen of all time. And for you to come on and talk about this incredible record is the coolest shit ever, dude. So thank you for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona right now, finishing my 7th video for my new record.
Nice.
And this is the ballad. And we've been working on this video for months. And every song we put out has been a banger, a total metal. But this is the panty dropper. This one.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. That's what my cousin.
It's a technical term.
No, I totally. I feel like anything you do is a panty dropper. My cousin, back when Skid Row's first record came out, you could have done anything you wanted to my cousin. My cousin Lori loved you. She probably attacked you at a show to like just touch you because she was so obsessed with you. And to know that, like, you know, it's the journey that you've had and stuff, and keep, now you're on your 7th record, which is your 7th you said 7th video or 7th record?
7th video from this record.
Wow. What's the well, I was gonna say, what's influenced you on this? What's influenced you on this record? Like what are you listening to? What is the musical vibe of this new record?
Well, I mean, we're talking about Aerosmith Rocks, and are we doing an interview now, right?
Yeah, we're in it, brother. We are in it. We are in it.
Well, I just looked at the song listings on Rocks again before I did this interview, and the song "Home Tonight," which is the last song on Rocks. Now it's time to say goodnight to you. That song, I got chills on my arm right there.
Yeah, dig it.
That vocal Steven Tyler does in the song "Home Tonight," very, very similar to the song we're doing right now. I mean, I learned how to sing a lot of it by singing along to Aerosmith records. And I can remember I lived at Slash's house for 2 or 3 weeks, believe it or not, in the year 1990. It was like my John Lennon, May Pang lost weekend period.
Yeah.
I was
dude.
out in LA doing who the fuck knows what. And I lived at Slash's house. And this was when we were all partying. We were not just trying to sound like Aerosmith. We were trying to live like the Toxic Twins. And I can remember waking up like after not even hardly sleeping, and drinking coffee and doing other things. And I had to get my voice going for a gig. And so it was like noon. Slash was sitting on the couch with his pet leopard, like he had like a tiger. I was sitting on his couch one day and I feel this fur on my skin and I turn and what the fuck? And Slash laughs. It's a tiny baby tiger walking around his house. No joke. So I put on Aerosmith Rocks and I sang the song "Home Tonight" for Slash, sitting on his couch, and I'm drinking coffee, and he loved it, and it's a very great memory. Like, it was my only audience was Slash, and I sang the shit out of that fucking song 2 or 3 times for him. But if you're asking me my influences
for this record,
on my new record, I would say Aerosmith Rocks.
I love it. Hey man, I'll take it. And that you're on brand right now. And the quote I have in front of me, I have how important this record is. You have Kurt Cobain says it's one of his favorite records of all time. You know, you have Motley Crue's Nikki Sixx saying he mentions him constantly. This record in the Heroin Diaries, James Hetfield. It says one of the most important influences on his music. And then Slash right here, it says this album changed his life.
Yeah.
And what's so funny for me, because I'm 45, so I got Pump first. I got Permanent Vacation first, you know?
But hey, who opened the whole Pump tour?
You guys. Yeah,
That's right.
dude. Dude, this better be
We
Sebastian.
opened
This
the whole tour, dude. We
I
opened the
want
whole
the
tour.
inside scoop. I want you. I don't want to read any of my facts, bro. I got questions for you. We're gonna go through the songs, but I want you to lead this, man, because you're a rock star. You've lived the rock star life. You know these guys. You know,
Yeah.
I'm so bummed that I didn't even get to see him live. I was so excited to go on this tour. I'm friends with Bill Burr, and he did the announcement, and I was like gonna be there. And it's some from dealing with a singer, well, two singers talking, you know, how important our voice is, and for Steven to not be able to perform anymore. And it's such a bummer because he arguably has one of the best rock and roll voices of all time. And
Well,
so go ahead.
well, I don't know. Like, I find it hard to understand or hard to believe that Steven Tyler can't sing. Like, but I don't know. I have no idea what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
yeah. Sure.
I'm not his age, but I don't know all this legal stuff that he was going through. Like that's when he disappeared for like from me following him. I mean, I don't know what's going on,
Yeah.
but I just find it hard. Like when a guy like Steve Perry of Journey or a guy like Steven Tyler says I can't sing anymore, I don't understand. I don't understand because
Yeah.
it's the same throat. But I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not either of those guys. But
Yeah, of course.
I just that is so sad for me to think of that my
Yeah.
brain wants to say that can't be, that can't be,
Yeah.
because I love Steven Tyler's voice and it's gotta fucking kill him personally and emotionally because that's who he is. That's his
Mhm.
voice. That's like his, you know,
His
of his
instrument.
body part that like I can't imagine, like Huey Lewis. He says he can't go on stage anymore. These guys, you get old and the body doesn't work the same way it used to. Like knock on wood, I'm a lucky guy, but then again, I'm 56 and what is Steven like 70?
Yeah, he's a lot older than you, and I
Yeah,
mean, look, you do drugs the way that they did,
yeah,
and the fact that we got a whole nother chapter out of that band is
yeah.
amazing, and good God, I mean, like you talk about a fucking third act, like.
Yeah.
I always love, and me and Jeremiah, the guy up in the corner with the weird man bun, who's probably in some, I don't even know where the fuck you are right now, Hawaii or Brazil but either
London.
we always like to say, who's the great American rock band? Because when you think of it in England, you go, it could be Led Zeppelin, it could be the Beatles, it could be Rolling Stones, it could be Pink Floyd. But in America, who are they? And I think there's a strong case for it being Aerosmith because,
Well,
go ahead.
I think that Aerosmith is the East Coast America's best rock band, and I would say Van Halen is the West Coast.
Sure.
Because to me, Aerosmith very much has the Boston sensibility. Like, how can they not? That's where they're from, and that's where they started. And Van Halen is like LA, California. So I think between Aerosmith and Van Halen, those are the two American top bands. I mean,
Completely.
Kiss to me is my top band because of my childhood. But I know that they're freaky cartoon rock band. But so I think Aerosmith is more.
Like
You
down
know
home
what? I don't
Americana.
know if you
Yeah.
saw. I don't know if you saw the tour that Aerosmith and Kiss did together. Well, I
I
went to
did
see
not.
that.
Oh,
I went to
wow.
see that, and I watched Kiss play in the sunlight Okay, they were on and the sun was still up, but I had never seen Kiss in the daytime. So their bombs and their smoke, were going off, but it looked like, I don't know what it looked like. Like that's supposed to be going on at nighttime, right?
Sure.
It didn't look right in the
Yeah.
daytime, like the bombs and shit. And then Aerosmith came on, and they did the song "Tell Me What It Takes to Let You Go,"
Love
and
it.
the ending of that song when Steven Tyler goes, that whole note he holds at the very end
Yep.
by himself.
Yep.
So they build up to that note, and the band stops. And Steven Tyler nails that note and holds it, and the whole crowd just goes nuclear. And I said to myself, Steven Tyler just blew away the Kiss stage show with one note. Like it wasn't about bombs and fire and
Hmm.
blood and smoke. It was Steven hitting that note, which was worth all the pyro. It was worth all the fire. It was worth all of that. Just him standing there belting that fucking note out. I'll never forget it. I go, oh my gosh, like it was incredible, and I
Is that
love Steven. Hmm?
I don't think anybody has, that has such a powerful voice and then also can turn like scatting
Oh,
into like an act.
totally.
Because dude, I do that on stage where I'm just like when I copy him where it's like I mean that's how I live in that. What is it? Is it in was it Crazy or one of those songs where he's just desperate times sitting by that's my life, that little
Well,
bar of music.
if you're talking about his scatting style, I know we're here to talk about Aerosmith rocks, but on the
Which we'll get.
record
Yeah.
"Rock and a Hard Place," there's a song called "Bolivian Ragamuffin." Have you ever heard that one?
I
Bolivian
haven't, no, but I love the
Ragamuffin.
name.
So he's like, Bolivian Ragamuffin. He's like,
Oh,
I don't know what he's doing, but he's scatting up a storm, and that's in
God
that
bless
song.
his soul. Take me. So let's get into Aerosmith. Let's dive into you. So are you digging into them in high school? Like, is it like when did it start? And then tell me about, because obviously Toys in
Yes.
the Attic is before this, which is like their pop record. I don't want to call it pop, but the big one. It's got a lot of the hits. And then this is the record that everybody says is their favorite. So you take me. When did you first get into them, and when did you first hear this record, and how is it like helped you, kind of develop?
Well, when I was a kid, I heard Dream On the radio all the time when I was very
Mhm.
young on AM radio. So that was the first exposure I had was Dream On, because it was a big radio hit, and that chorus, who can deny that? And
Amazing.
as far as the Aerosmith Rocks album, I have quite a few amazing stories about this record from my perspective. Number one is that I covered Back in the Saddle with Axl Rose
God damn.
on my solo record, Angel Down. It's Go check it out. It's me and Axl going line for line, back and forth, in Back in the Saddle, and it's a slamming version. And when we did it, Joey Kramer emailed me. He goes, "Great job, incredible job." So when a guy from Aerosmith tells you that you did a good job on an Aerosmith song, that's a real good moment.
I can
So
imagine.
that's yeah, that's. I want you to check out that version, "Back in the Saddle" with me and Axl. Probably even heavier memory, the song "Last Child," which to me is quintessential Aerosmith. I don't know if I said that right. Quintessential Aerosmith's "Last Child." I'm dreaming tonight. I'm dreaming back home. Bound down the right. That
Ding,
song
ding,
is
ding.
so great. And
Yeah, it is.
yeah. Take me back to a South Tallahassee.
Yeah, dude.
Um, fucking when Aerosmith played the Toronto CNE Stadium with the Black Crowes and Metallica, Steven Tyler asked me to come on stage and sing Last Child with him in my hometown. It's such a crazy memory. We opened up the whole Pump tour, and then they played Toronto, and I was in Toronto. That's where my family's from. And Steven Tyler calls me on the phone. He goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "I'm hanging out in Toronto." He goes, he wanted me to come down to the CNA and warm up with him. So I drove my car down to the CNE, and Joe Perry and Steven Tyler said, "Let's go warm up." And us three guys got into like a little room backstage and did fucking scales together. Like, I can't even believe I'm telling you this. Like,
I love this.
I warmed up vocals with them. And then he goes, "We got a hometown boy right here, Sebastian Bach." And I come out of my hometown and sang Last Child with Steven Tyler. And the story is Lars Ulrich filmed it. And he told me back then, he goes, "I got it all on video, man." This was 1990. It's 25 years ago. No, 35 years ago. I got that.
35, yeah.
And Lars, you still haven't given me the copy of the
Yeah,
video.
Lars, what the
God
fuck?
damn
Can
it.
you
Man.
can you
He's like,
imagine
"I
the
got it,
size
I
of that
got it, I'll give it to
camera?
you." 35 years, Lars. Can I please see it? I'd love to see it.
How so you must so it sounds like you guys were good buddies. I mean, was it, you know, because obviously Skid Row and you guys were doing well at the time. Was it them that personally asked you to open, or was it like a management or a record label thing?
Well, we were really, really hot in 1990. We were, top of the charts, and we had hit
Yeah, you are.
songs. I Remember You was huge right then.
Oh
And
man.
18 in Life and all
18
that.
in life, yeah.
The Aerosmith tour was the first tour that Skid Row did where we got paid good. I remember that. I know what we got a night. I don't know if I should say shit like that. No.
I mean, I
Say
would
it.
kind of say it. I would love to hear it just to know
Oh,
because what
fuck it.
in
Who
90
cares?
fuck
This
it,
was
dude.
1990. This was 1990, and I'll never forget that we went from, opening for Bon Jovi.
Wow.
Then we opened for Motley Crue. We opened up the Dr. Feelgood tour in Europe. Then we did Aerosmith. And on the Aerosmith, we got 15 grand a night, which for us at the time in 1990, we were like, "Fuck you. This is great." So I
Yeah.
don't know if I can say that, but I just did say it. So that's what we got on the Aerosmith tour. I remember going 15 grand a night. Oh my God. Like, this was 1990.
And
Anyway.
Sebastian, like, but also at 1990, I mean, when like you said, like Skid Row, you guys just kicked everybody in the dick, man. It was like boom, you guys blew up. So was it like while you guys were the openers, almost like people were probably showing up even earlier just to
Yeah.
make sure they saw you guys because you were probably hotter than the actual headliners. No disrespect to Aerosmith, but radio was playing you, MTV loved you, you know.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's the business we're in, You're up, you're down, who knows what the fuck's going on.
Sure.
But at the time, yes, we were. I remember it was the number one prom song in USA Today in the year 1990. I remember sitting in a cafe reading USA Today. They said the top prom songs of the year. We were number one. So that's a lot of slow dancing that people remember, But Aerosmith took us under their wing, and there's a funny thing. I read the drummer of the Black Crowes, Steve Gorman,
Yeah.
wrote a book, Hard to Handle,
Yeah, he
and he
did.
goes, "Yes, we went on Aerosmith, and Joe Perry didn't really want us on there because he thought Skid Row knew how to put on a really good show." And I'm like, "Steve Gorman, I like your book because that's true. Yes. Joe Perry. Let's hear it. Joe Perry, he did want us on there. He didn't want us to leave. But that was
I
nice
love
of
that.
the drummer of the Black Crowes to mention that in his book. And then Joe Perry says in his book, he goes, Sebastian, we had Skid Row out, and Sebastian was living the rock lifestyle, and I certainly was definitely living it up. But for him to mention me in his book was incredible. And I can remember I used to play on that tour, I would play heavy metal music CDs in our room before we went on stage. Like I was the guy that actually did play Anvil albums. I would play metal
Really?
on metal before Skid Row went on stage. I'm from Toronto, and I know those guys. So one day, Steven Tyler walks in the dressing room and goes, "Sebastian!" He goes, "What are you listening to?" I was like, Anvil. He's like, "Listen to this." And Steven Tyler bought me Muddy Waters' Hard Again. I'm a
Whoa.
man. I'm a man's man. I'm a man. And he wanted me to play Muddy Waters instead of Anvil. Gee, I wonder why. so, so then he started hearing me play Muddy Waters out of the Skid Row room, and he really appreciated that. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question about before I want to dive into some of these songs, but I wonder why when people talk about Aerosmith and they talk about the first half, so we're not talking about the later stuff that they did, it's whereas Toys in the Attic, the album before this, has all the hits,
Yeah.
And not saying that this one doesn't, but when they talk about what is pure Aerosmith, this is the record. Why do you think they love this record more than Toys in the Attic?
Well, I can answer you by telling you my personal all-time favorite Aerosmith song is On Rocks, and you will not guess what it is. Maybe you will, but this is my
Go ahead.
favorite Aerosmith song, and I told this to Joe Perry, and he stopped in his tracks and he goes, "I like that song too. Can you figure out which song I'm talking about? What do you think?"
I'm gonna go Sick as a Dog because
No,
I'm just taking a guess. Okay, well I was wrong. I was saying because I
no.
wanted it to be because that's more of like a 60s, like more of a janglier, like almost like the Birds kind of.
I love
So
every
right, so
song on this record, but there's one that I love a little more than the others, and I don't know why.
what
That
is it, Betty?
song is my favorite Aerosmith song is Combination.
Really?
I took a shot to the chin. I'm rearranging my game. Tell by the shape I'm in a fire. Know what to say. Give me the choices to be away. I don't know if those are the words. That's the melody, though. But I took a shot to the chin. That song. And all I can tell you is those harmonies. I'm rearranging my game. The way that all fits together with those licks to me is the sound of cool. Like this song combination to me is just the ultimate cool song. Like it just makes me feel cool. I don't know. I don't know. Like it's music. I don't know how
I
to.
know what you're saying. Well,
It's just cool. And I told this to Joe Perry. I go, my favorite Aerosmith song is Combination. And I believe Joe Perry wrote that all by
he did.
himself.
So here's what I've got. This is because I got a good question I wanted to ask you about this combination, rare co-lead duet between Steven and Joe, and it further.
Wait. Vocal duet?
It's what I've got. I've got a co-lead with Steven and Joe.
That's that's why he was like, I like that song too. And because it sounded
Yeah.
so that's Steven and Joe singing together in that part.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that
It's
rad?
incredible. That song is so cool. That's the word. It's just you're either cool or you're not. That fucking song is beyond cool. I don't know what
And
it is.
I think one of the things is this is just further cements them as the updated Mick and Keith, You've got,
Well,
you
I
know,
never, I always thought that that Rolling Stones comparison was more visual than,
sure,
because,
but look,
Steve and Tyler had those big lips looking
True.
like Mick
Yeah.
Jagger. But to me, the Stones were more my parents' band. Like
for
Aerosmith was,
100% was
and
your
I
band.
love, my favorite Stones album is Black and Blue by far. Like to me, that's the best Stones album. And I don't even think the Stones really like that one. But that's my favorite. Hot Stuff, Fool to Cry, Hey Negrita. Um, that album is amazing. But
Well, let me ask you
Aerosmith's definitely more hard rock. Like
for
Back
sure.
in the Saddle. Back in the Saddle to me verges on metal. Like as far as beating your head in with a heavy riff.
Totally.
Yeah.
Before we go, I want to stay on combination for a second because I want to talk about that duo, like I said, the Steven and Joe, the Mick and Keith, because you're such a strong lead singer and frontman. Did you ever feel or want that Nick and Keith dynamic in any of your projects? Because many singers seem to enjoy that perceived, camaraderie, like the Axl and Slash come to mind.
Absolutely. I have a new bass player in my band. His name's Fede Delfino, and he's the only guy I've ever been in a band with that can sing like Sebastian Bach.
Nice.
Whoa.
This is one talented mother trucker, okay?
Yeah. Dig it.
But I'm just saying, we live in a world now that most bands use backing tapes in their show. I do not. I do not have a click track. But for me, the click track is the crowd. I
Mhm.
don't have any tick 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 tick. We don't do that in my band. Maybe we should, but we don't. So when you're saying, would you like to have that singer, a guy help? Of course, I would like to have a guy helping me sing
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Steve wrote the music I recorded. I don't really look at recording records as the same thing as doing a live show. I look at a live show as kind of an athletic event,
Sure.
stamina, and giving every ounce of energy. But making a record's more of a insular kind of personal thing to me.
Yeah. Totally.
So my only option, if I wanted to do it perfectly like the record, is to do what everybody else is doing and have tapes rolling. But I would hate myself. I'd be, how do you know if you had a good gig? If
I
it's the
know.
same fucking, how do you know? Oh, that was a great, same as last night. Like, so
Yeah.
I would love to have a guy help me sing, and I do now. This my bass player Fede, but singing is not for wimps. If you're selling tickets to a show, you better sing, bitch.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. So the song combination is obviously a drug song, but allegedly it's
See,
specifically
I
about
didn't even know. Sorry. I
it's
didn't even know that. Why is it a drug song?
it's because it's about the death of their dealer.
I had no
Isn't that crazy?
clue.
Yeah, I
Tell me
know.
about this.
So, well, this is just all I have. It's just about the death of the dealer. Let me see if I have a little bit more here. This is what I got from my writer Morty. Is there any more on the sheet? Because I'm not looking at that. I was looking at my other notes. So it says Joe Perry wrote this song, Aerosmith. He sang the song about heroin, cocaine, and me, with money coming in thanks to the band's newfound success. Perry could afford the luxuries, designer suits, blah blah blah, and yeah. So this is about basically the death of his dealer. I wanted to ask you because the combination of drugs and rock and roll almost took these guys out, like too many stars in rock and roll history. How did you avoid that combination?
Why do you think I did?
You're here, and you still
Well,
sound great. You're still rocking. I mean,
I mean, you talk about these guys that did all these drugs. They all look fucking amazing for their age.
sure.
They all look great. Like Joe Perry looks great. Give me some heroin, man. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. So you're telling me that the title combination refers to a combination of drugs? That's what that is? I didn't know that.
I think so. This is just what I got from the notes that I
Wow.
spoke with my writer Morty.
Because I always
Is that this
wondered
was
what combination. I don't, like, what a weird title, but I like it.
Oh,
But
it's a great, but you've lived that rock and roll lifestyle. It just doesn't ever, it never. How did you avoid it like consuming you? Because I know you get
well,
caught up. You can be.
we were partying on the Aerosmith tour, and that was kind of awkward because on that tour they had the Aero cops. They had three police officers that were on the road with them. I became friends with all of them. We were buddies, and they were there to keep drugs away from Steven and Joe. And
Whoa.
I would smoke a joint in my dressing room, and one day the Aero cops come in the room and they go, "It's coming through the fucking vents. It's going right into Steven's dressing room."
Wow.
So I was like, "Hey, I better stop smoking this right now."
Hilarious.
But when we played the LA Forum, opening up for Aerosmith, is the night I met David Lee Roth and the night I met Axl Rose. I think we did 4 nights at the Forum. And one night there's a knock on the door, bang, 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 bang. Open the door, and it's David Lee Roth. He puts his head on our dresser and goes, "Hey, what are you guys doing, man?" I go, "Dave, come on in, man. You want to roll a joint?" And Dave puts his hand on my arm and goes, "Sebastian, you do the honors."
That's rad.
And then Axl comes in my room, and I had never met him. And he's like, "Hey, man," and Axl was doing Train Kept a Rolling that night with Aerosmith, and he didn't know the words. And I had the CD. So we sat down, me and Axl, and got the words out perfect for him. And then he went out and destroyed the stage with Aerosmith. To make it, this is crazy. Also at that show was Rick Rubin. And Rick Rubin, see, we had the party, Skid Row. Aerosmith was not partying. So at the Forum, our dressing room was fucking packed with like people with David Lee Roth, Axl Rose, Rick Rubin. So Rick Rubin brought me and Axl to the Rainbow after the show, and we met David Lee Roth, and we all sat at a table after the Aerosmith show, me, Dave, Axl, and Rick Rubin, and had a great party. And there's more
Love it.
stories about that, but it's not about Aerosmith. But that was the scene at the Aerosmith show. It was, everybody was there. Everybody wanted to be there. And I can't believe that they're not playing anymore. It's
I know.
very
It's
sad.
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Let's talk Back in the Saddle, because this is the opening track. There's a couple tracks I really want to dig into. This is so epic that it became and remained probably their most played opening song, which, I mean, what a incredible way to open the record with this. And while a lot of rockers remain one-trick ponies, you've ridden so many horses in your career, Sebastian. I mean, from Broadway to the big screen with the Trailer Park Boys to the small screen with the Gilmore Girls and numerous hosting reality and competition shows. Yet you've never turned your back on rocking. Where did that work ethic come from?
Well, that's a heavy question. Well, my dad is an artist, and he painted pictures his whole life, and I just watched him, and he would whistle while he painted, all out of key, like a fucked up bird or something. And that's how I knew he was happy. And if he was whistling and painting, he was happy. Dad, everything was fine. And I just watched him. He loved painting so much that nothing else mattered to him. Like, if he was proud of a painting that he did, that's all he cared about. And I said, I'm gonna live like that. And what I love is music and rock and roll. And that's so I mean, my dad never worked a day in his life, because for him, creating art wasn't working. I don't consider rock and roll, it's to me, it's the most important thing other than my family, because it inspires me to live the best life I can live. I mean, rock and roll makes me do hot yoga. Rock and roll makes me eat as correctly as I can. Rock and roll
Yeah.
makes me drink lots of water. Like I wouldn't get, if I worked at the toll booth, I wouldn't probably be doing hot yoga and fucking, maybe I would, but it's rock and roll that makes me want to, be Sebastian. That's all the only way you can put it. And music has a life of its own, and creating a catalog of music like Aerosmith that'll never die. It's a form of immortality. And I was a little kid. I I read comic books when I was a little boy in the 70s in Canada. And I believed these comics. I believed Superman and Spider-Man and Hulk. And like I was a little kid. But all these cliches, like I always think there's a right way to do things and a wrong way. And I think that comes from comic books. And like a band like Aerosmith has given us such a catalog of music that will always be part of our lives. And you say, where does that work ethic come from? I consider myself so lucky to be able to do this. And
Yeah. It's a gift.
especially after the pandemic, before the pandemic, I hated traveling. I didn't want to get on a plane. I didn't want to get on a bus. I was like, fuck this plane, fuck this shit. I was like, I had done it so much. Took it for granted. I really
Yeah.
did.
Of
Traveling,
course.
being on the road, because I've been doing it my whole life. When I couldn't do it,
Oh yeah. Oh, I know,
when it was
man.
taken away from us and I was
Yeah.
sitting in my house, I said to myself, mother trucker, if you ever get to rock again, it's going to
You better
be
enjoy every second, every morsel of it. What you get to do is a gift to entertain those
yes.
people, to use your God-given instrument, which is it's just brought so much joy to so many people, Sebastian. I'm the same way with comedy. I
Yes, for me.
stopped giving, not to talk about me, but it's like, dude, if you didn't come back from the pandemic appreciating
Oh,
being out and even just going to a concert, being
yeah,
in a room
absolutely.
and just feeling the music with 20,000 strangers that feel like family, then you shouldn't be alive.
I even get excited now about being in the airport security line.
No, you don't. No one does, dude.
No,
No
but
one
I'm
does.
like, I'm going on a plane. I'm fucking
Okay.
going. I'm going to
All right.
Phoenix, Arizona. I'm going here. I'm going there. And I'm like a little child, excited just to do normal things, and it hasn't worn off yet. Like
Good. Good. It
I'm,
shouldn't.
I'm, I
Now,
consider us very lucky to be able to create rock and roll. Like very lucky.
no, completely. Here, I have another thing I want to ask you because I was something funny about this. So Joe Perry has said he wrote the lick for "Back in the Saddle" on a Fender Bass 6 guitar after being inspired by Fleetwood Mac's Peter Green while way too high on heroin. And for those that don't know, the Fender Bass 6 is a 6-string bass guitar that is an octave lower than a standard guitar, so it could be played with more chordal articulation instead of standard 4-string bass. John Lennon and George Harrison often played it on the Beatles records when Paul was on piano. And also in Spinal Tap, and I might make sure if I get this right, the rare Seafoam Green Fender Bass 6 is the guitar that Nigel Tufnell says, don't even look at it. It's the one he's like, don't even look at it. I wanted to ask you, being a rock star, having traveled, having performed all over, what is your most Spinal Tap moment? What is
Oh,
yours? Like you've got
oh
to
my
have
God.
one. Like
I have more than one, but
good.
the first one that comes into my brain is I think we were opening for Aerosmith. And the first song, I would always run out and run to the mic, right? And I don't know why, but this show, the lights go down, I run out, and I run right off the fucking stage into the pit.
No.
Like I didn't see where the end of the stage was, and I was running, and I went, whoa, and then I'm fucking in the pit. Like, I'm lucky I didn't fuck myself up. But the band, I
Yeah.
look up, and the band looks at me. They go, "What are you doing down there?" Like,
You're
it's
like,
like, and then I got to get myself back up. And I'm like, "Hey, hey!" So that was pretty stupid.
hilarious.
Yeah.
That is, but hey, you were fine. And I always say when you fuck up, sometimes it's better to have the story. The story's better. Like I almost had a threesome, but it fucked up, and I'm like, the story of not getting the threesome is way funnier than having the threesome.
Well,
Let's talk. Go ahead.
yeah. Sorry, no, go ahead.
No, I was good. Let's talk. I want to get through a couple of these songs. I got great questions I want to ask you because I'm just, dude. Like I said,
Oh,
I'm a
wait, I know
fan.
what sorry, you're talking about that guitar that's an octave lower.
Yeah,
You see, when I think of the song "Back in the Saddle," I think of Steven Tyler's scream that he hits over on the high, back, holding that scream over and over and over again. That's about as high as I can fucking scream. If you listen to my record where I do it, I can't really go any higher than "Back in the Saddle." But I think that if they would have done that song on a normal guitar,
yeah.
which is higher up, I don't think Tyler could, I don't think he could scream any higher than that. So I think that playing that guitar lower allowed him to
You know
scream.
what scream I think of you? When I think of you, I think the scream that you do at the beginning of not Slave to the Grind, Monkey
Monkey
Business.
business, monkey business.
God damn, dude.
That's a
It
good
was
one.
it was cool. It was cool. We had, and you might know him, we had Kim Thale from Soundgarden on.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, and I asked him, I was like, I mean, what were you guys like when he would sing slaves and bulldozers and hit that note? Like, well, did you guys know that you got something special? And he was like, it was just Chris. That was, he was like, guys, you can sing high. And you're like, what? It's like there's high and then there's fucking,
Right.
monkey business high, dude. Like it's rad, man. I just re-listened to that record. What a fucking great song, man.
I'm glad you
Serious.
dig it. It's
Oh,
very,
dude.
very Aerosmith influence, that song, for
I
sure.
hear it. I
Yeah.
definitely hear it. I definitely hear it. All right, let's talk a little bit about Last Child. So this one was first written by Brad Whitford. Thoughts on it? Anything you want to add about
Well,
Lost Child before I get to your question?
Last Child is like my favorite kind of metal song, which is a song that starts sweet and innocent and beautiful and pretty, and then kicks you in the nuts as
Yeah.
hard as you can go. And just the beginning of Last Child is, I'm dreaming tonight. I'm dreaming. All right.
Ding, ding, ding,
And
ding,
then
ding,
walk.
ding. Yeah. This is probably Sebastian. This is probably like you and I podcasting together. It's 80% of us just going. Now you go.
And you gotta give it up for Joey Kramer on the drums.
Sure.
Like the grooves on this album, Aerosmith rocks. Yeah, a rock band is only as good as the drummer. And the grooves on this fucking album are just badass, for lack of a better term. That's a technical term.
But I
But
think,
it's just
I think we got to, when you talk about it, this is like Brad Whitford is probably the most overlooked in Aerosmith history. And despite his indelible contribution to their sound and songs, I mean, I think he gets overshadowed in that Nick Keith thing that we were talking about with Steven and Joe, where they have some real, he has some real unsung hero moments to more casual fans. He's kind of
well,
like, he's kind of like, not to cut you off, but he's kind of like Izzy Stradlin to Guns N' Roses, where we always think of Slash, we always think of Axl, we think of Duff, but Izzy was a huge part of Appetite.
well, Brad Whitford wrote is Round and Round on Rocks.
Let me double check.
Round,
Jared, can you check? My computer's being stupid.
No.
no, oh, that's on Toys in the Attic. But
Yes.
I know Brad Whitford wrote Round and Round, and he also wrote Kings and Queens off of Draw the Line. And I think those are two of the heaviest Aerosmith songs. So Brad brought some really heavy riffs to Aerosmith for sure.
Let me ask you this. So if Brad is the unsung hero for Aerosmith, who's an unsung hero in your life? Who's someone that, you know, you look up to or has helped you or just like that we might not know or that we might know?
Someone that I look up to that's helped me, babe. My wife.
Good answer.
uh,
Good
someone
answer, dude.
she goes, you don't look up to me, I look up to you.
Yeah, you're actually like 6'5". Yeah.
Somebody that I look up to that's helped me. Somebody that I've looked. I might have to come back to that one.
We can come back to it. Let's dig into Sick as a Dog. Let's talk about that. Written by bassist Tom Hamilton with Steven. This was inspired by the jangly sound of the 60s folk rock pioneers, the Byrds, and
Yeah.
specifically their version of Bob Dylan's Mr. Tambourine Man. Tom played
Really?
guitar on it. Yeah, Tom played guitar on it while Joe played bass for the first half. Then Steven took over the bass when Joe switched to guitar for the second half, and they did that all live in one take. If I'm not mistaken, Morty had told me that they had a traveling studio with them when they
Wow.
made this record. Yeah, they were doing this. You know, I'm almost positive. I don't want to talk out of my ass to make sure, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that they were doing this like, you know, outside of gigs. They were playing this. Yeah, here it is. Man walked his way. Mobile recording truck into the rehearsal space named the Warehouse, WHERE house. And they were like, let fly. And we were living the high life. Not because this is the last album before the drugs started really, really
Right.
taking over. So I wanted to ask you, talking about all that stuff, what's your most unlikely inspiration?
Unlikely inspiration.
Yeah,
Yacht.
we like to do the unsung, the put before everything on this
My
podcast.
most unlikely inspiration would probably be yacht rock.
Fucking yes, dude.
I
Fucking yes.
I listen to yacht rock more than I would care to admit. I even listen to the Yacht Rock Deep Cuts channel, which is where I discovered a band called Airplay, which has a song, Nothing You Can Do About It, Cadillacs Enjoy the Ride, which was David Foster's band in the 70s. And this song is so fucking great. Like, check it out, Airplay.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny to get to back to because it's gonna put it together is I know that you did a shout out happy birthday video for my good friend Bill Burr.
Yes,
Because it was awesome, by the way, dude, and he loved it. And I was kind of bummed that you don't live in LA because we're doing a show I do a show where comedians do a song after their set, and I was like, damn, dude, I would love for you to come by on Sunday and do a fucking duet with Burr, him on
I
drums and you
would do.
singing.
I'm not that far from LA.
I
I'm
mean,
in
if I
Vegas.
let me talk to Bill, and if this would be this Sunday at the store, so I'll talk to Bill if
Wow.
he can do it. Yeah, dude, him on drums and
Where
you
is it at?
singing, the Comedy Store.
Okay, okay, we've
So
been there.
we'll talk. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Well, I'll make sure we exchange. But that's not what I wanted to get to. What I wanted to get to was Burr did the show last month, and we did Ambrosia.
I
We
love it.
did,
I love it.
yeah, we did. What is it? Oh God, dude, why can't I think of the song? The bet was it the best of me? Oh my God, we murdered it. God darn it, I want to get it right. Why do you love yacht rock? Why is it? I'm just curious.
The vocals,
Yeah.
the harmonies, the way the production, the fucking production. Like when I listen to Toto, 99, woo, I can't take it no more. Oh, 99, not a love, oh, 99, I love you. Do, 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 do. I love the sound of the production. I love the way the vocals are and luxurious studios, thick chest hairs. The way that guy talks makes me fucking laugh my head off. I don't know who that
So
guy
good.
is. He is so hilarious. Ooh. hard rock. I don't think so. I don't know all this stuff. But
I love it.
I love all that. So
I love
I love
it.
you know, when I listen to Steven Tyler sing, one of the things I love about it is that he can go dirty, dirty, dirty. Like what is it? Sick as a dog. What's your story? Sick as a dog. Cat got your tongue. Like he can sing dirty, but then he can sing clean and pure. Now it's time. He can
I
go
mean, he
from
really can.
clean and pure to dirty, and I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. That's that. I try to do that. It's like 'cause Steven Tyler doesn't just have one voice; he has many voices. You know, and I love that about his voice.
He really does. He really does. All right, let's dig into Rats in the Cellar.
Oh
This,
my God.
yeah, dude. This has been called a companion song into Toys in the Attic, the title track of the previous record. It was originally started as a song called Tit for Tat. Thoughts on
Yeah.
Rats in the Cellar? Let me see if we got any good facts about it. Why don't
Well,
you tell me what you think about it and what you love?
I used to open in my band Kid Wicked when I was a teenager. We opened with Rats in the Cellar in my band as in a cover band, and it's just balls out. It's a great song to come out on stage to and run off the lip of the stage, you know, the pit.
Yeah.
You know, about going under Rats in the Cellar. It's New York City blues, all that, and a harmony. Wearing, tearing me apart. Dicka, 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 dicka. It's just straight up in your face, fuck you, rock and roll. Like it's
Love it.
badass. You know, you can tell they were partying, making this music. It
Yeah.
sounds like a
This,
party. Sounds like a
yeah.
party.
Sebastian, so this is basically when were falling apart. This was basically what they were saying. This is like they were being careless. The sanity was fading away. And I think you can hear it in the song. I mean, like I said, they kept it together, this record, but this is the one.
I
You know,
just
I want to ask,
realized. I
yeah,
just realized you said this was a companion piece to
piece and
Toys in the Attic. Think of the
it is
title: Toys in the Attic, Rats in the Cellar.
in the cellar.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
There you go.
I just realized that today. So
So this is a
Toys
funny
in the
question.
Attic, Rats in the Cellar.
This
There
is a
you go.
funny question because I gotta know and you know without giving as much detail or less detail you want, and I have to ask when we're talking about the excessiveness of the 80s rock scene that we've all heard about that is in decline of the Western civilization and so many documentaries that we love with every band, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Skid Row, everybody. How many breasts do you think you signed or that were later tattooed on women? And do you still get like those women showing up to the shows like years later, like, oh my God, sign my, I mean,
Yes,
is it?
yes, we get women showing up to the shows. Yes, we do.
Sorry.
I have the ultimate woman. She's right over here.
Of
So
course, of
I
course,
don't need to have a burger when I got steak in the fridge.
100%. But if you had to guess
But
how many boobs you
no,
probably
I mean
signed in your life,
we do shows and I'll look out in the crowd and chicks are naked, like from you know tits out, fucking fists in the air. That still happens, you know. That still happens. I mean, for my band, it does.
sure. But in the 90s, like what was it like? If you really had to guess how many boobs you signed,
Many boobs were signed.
I'm sorry. I'm a still 13 years old, dude. I can't help it. But you're such a cool dude. I was
That's
like,
not the weirdest. One time we were doing an in-store in London, England, signing autographs in Skid Row, and one guy comes through the line and he wanted me to sign his Big Mac. And I go, what the fuck? He goes, come on, it'll be killer. He brought like a silver pen and he put the bun off and I signed the meat in a silver pen on the Big Mac. So who knows if that still is around, but that was
I
the only
hope
Big
so.
Mac. That's
No, I don't think that is awesome that you signed a Big Mac. All right, let's do Lick and a Promise. This is about the band's commitment to giving their audience the best show that they can give. And I have never seen them, but everything that I've heard and coming from you, I could tell that Aerosmith put 110% probably into every show,
Oh yeah.
as well as you. Like we said, before, it's like, you're a rocker, you rock. Same with me. I give, whether it's a 5-minute set or an hour, or whether it's in front of 20,000 people or 5 people, I put in the same goddamn show.
Yeah.
Morty had given me a question, but I want to ask you this, licking a promise, where I think I want to know, when was the first moment that you knew Skid Row was gonna, you were like, holy shit, like it's happening? Like, when did you know? When did you see the turn? Because I
Well,
can
that's
imagine I know, like, because I know the story, and tell me if it's right, that you got linked up with the band through John Bon Jovi at a wedding. What was it again? Can
that's
you can you
true.
can you can you explain that just
Yeah,
for everybody?
there's a
Because I don't.
rock photographer named Mark Weiss who had a wedding in New Jersey, and I was in a band in Detroit that he had taken pictures of, and he invited us to his wedding. And I got there, and me and Zach Wild, he wasn't named Zach Wild then, but we took over the stage from the wedding band, and we started doing Led Zeppelin and stuff. And John Bon Jovi's parents were at this wedding, and they called me over to their table. They go, Mark said, John's parents want you to come and sit with them. And I was like 19 years old. I was freaked out. I was a little kid. And so I go sit with Mr. and Mrs. Bon Jovi, and first thing, first thing I said to Mr. I go, what's your favorite song by your son? I was just trying to make small talk, and he was quiet for a second. He goes, Never Say Goodbye. And I go, okay. And I go, my favorite Bon Jovi song is Let It Rock. And he's like, okay. I just remember that's what. And so we hung out, and his mom, Carol, they both told me that John's friend Dave had a band called Skid Row, and they were looking for a singer, and they couldn't find one, and they thought I would be perfect for that band. And then they sent me a tape, and they say, oh, Skid Row's an overnight success, and I'm like, no, it took at least 2 weeks. It wasn't
Wow.
overnight. No, no, but we got together. So when did I know? Well, I knew that the songs sounded great, like on the playback from recording. Listening to 18 in Life, I knew that we did the best we could do, and they sounded incredible to me. But that was before it came out. I'm sure every band thinks their album sounds incredible, or why
Yeah.
would they put it out? So I remember we played a show on the Bon Jovi tour. We played in Chicago at Rosemont Horizon. And this was about 2 weeks into that tour, the New Jersey tour. And I came out and I go, hey man, I want to see everybody in here. Stand up if you believe in rock and roll. I went like this. And for the first time, the whole arena stood up. And I went, oh my God. And I turned around and the guys go, look at this fucking night. That was the moment that I knew we could maybe do this. When I got the whole Chicago, Rosemont, look at the fucking chills in my arms right now.
I love it,
When
dude.
I
You're
when
giving
I
me
went like this,
chills,
stand
man.
up, and the whole arena stood up because I told them to. That was the exact moment where I go, I can fucking do this, man. I can do this. If I can do this tonight, I can do it every fucking night. And so that was the exact moment, honestly. Thank you,
Did
Chicago.
Oh, God bless, dude. I mean, I
Yeah,
remember that we had Mike from REM on, and he had said that he was out in like in South America somewhere, and they were doing something, and they had one radio, and they could hear they were playing Losing My Religion on that little radio, and he was like, wow, it's like that's when you knew. He was like,
yeah.
that was like, wow, we're fucking huge or whatever now. And did you have that? Like, what was there like a pinch me moment besides that? Like, that was just like,
Well,
where it,
seeing seeing us on the cover of Circus magazine, and
that's gotta be,
a
yeah,
center a
dude.
centerfold of me in Circus, like I collected Circus.
I
I
know.
bought I bought every issue of Circus magazine and Hit Parader. Oh, that wasn't as good, but Circus, Metal Edge, all those rock magazines. And when I was on the cover of Circus with a poster, my parents couldn't fucking understand. They could not believe that I collected these rock magazines, and then I was on the cover of the fucking same magazine.
Yeah.
So
How
like
great is that,
that
man?
blew everybody. That blew my mind because that's how we got our rock and roll. When I was a kid in the '70s, we never saw our favorite musicians ever move or talk. We saw them in these rock magazines, stationary, just like a picture. That we never. I can remember. My whole room was plastered with Kiss, Aerosmith, Van Halen posters and everything. It was Kiss first. Actually, Elton John before Kiss. But
Yeah.
I was really in Elton John. So all I had was the posters and the pictures of my heroes. And one night, Kiss was going to be on Don Kirshner's rock concert at like 11 at night, and that was very late. And I asked my mom, I go, can we stay up and watch this? She goes, sure. And so we stayed up, and when they came on the TV screen, and they were going like this, fucking, I had like a mental break. I was bawling my eyes out like a little girl in Beatlemania, like, "Ah," and
Mhm.
I go, my mom goes, honey, what's, she's laughing, right? And
Yeah.
Jesus, doing all these fucking moves and walking around like in his boots and shit. And I had never seen, I didn't know they moved like that. I was like 8 years old. And I started crying and I couldn't breathe and shit. And my mom goes, Sebastian, what's wrong? And I go, I don't know. I didn't know why I was, my whole brain was just
Yeah.
blown. So we never saw Aerosmith do interviews, or there was no internet. There was
Hmm.
only Circus magazine
God
um,
bless it, though. Circus
and
was everything. Metal
and the
Edge.
radio. We would hear our bands on the radio. We'd buy the records, but there was no, just those shows late at midnight. But those were rare back then.
Dude,
So
I
it was,
just realized, Sebastian, which I can't fucking believe it took me this long to realize it, is that you were on my television show on Comedy Central that I created. You sang with Hal Sparks. You remember
yeah,
you came in and I don't want to say saved it,
celebrity
but
duets.
no, it wasn't Celebrity Duets. It was called what was the original show? Is called the show that hopefully you can do on Sunday, the goddamn Comedy Jam. But on Comedy Central it was the Comedy Jam because they took out the goddamn, and you
I
sang with
remember.
Hal Sparks. You sang Shook Me All Night Long with
Oh
him.
my gosh,
I
Hal's
know
a great guy.
It's crazy that I fucking just because it's like that was 7 years ago, almost about 8.
Wow.
Yeah, nuts, dude. I love it. That's
Hey,
either
hey,
way.
can you tell Tony the video went off? Thank you.
Here,
Sorry.
let's talk. We got 2 more songs I want to get into, then we'll do final questions. You got enough time? We got
Okay.
another about
Oh
15
yeah.
more. Perfect, my man. My fucking man. All right. Nobody's fault. Because you were talking about shaking the world. This one's about earthquakes. It's often considered to be the hardest rocking Aerosmith song and remains
Yeah.
one of the
Hang
band's
on.
fan
Is
favorites.
is Brad Whitford a writer on this?
Let me double check.
I think he
I
is.
let me.
I
I
think
think
he
you're
is.
right. Which one are we talking about?
I knew Brad wrote one of the
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
He is.
And I
It is.
knew when I was talking about Round and Round and Kings and Queens, I was actually thinking of this song.
Nobody's
This
fault.
this is the heaviest. Lord, I must be dreaming. What else could it be? Everybody's concubine, looking for the sea. Eyes are
Damn,
full of desire. Shit found up in the breeze. I can sing it pretty good.
you
Everything's on fire.
rock and roll, baby.
Lord, I must have nothing more to say. Children of the season of the land. That's it. I love
Dude,
nobody.
I want to talk about shakeups, though. I want to ask you, a crazy shakeup is when you left Skid Row after some serious rock success. How shaken up was your world? Like, what does that look like? Because I can imagine there's probably suits and business people freaking the fuck out.
It was terrible. I remember it was Christmas time, and my mom and my aunt were down in New Jersey, and we were out chopping wood for the fireplace in the snow, and we couldn't believe that the band broke up because who the fuck would break up a band that sold millions of records? I mean, to
Yeah.
me, that's like a dream. I thought we were going to be like Rush or Aerosmith and have, 15, 20 albums. That's what I thought was going to happen. Uh,
Yeah.
but I'm
Were
still making albums, so what can I do?
100%. Were the managers and the band, was like the suit, there it is, it's back on. Were the suits freaking out? Like, was it,
Um, you have to remember that this was in the time of grunge when bands like Skid Row and Aerosmith were not the flavor of the month. So you're
sure.
talking about 1996. And I remember my manager, Scott McGee, he was managing Liz Phair at the time. And all of his attention was
It's on Liz.
on Liz Phair. And, Skid, who, Skid what? It was like not cool at that time. I don't blame him or anything, but where's Liz Phair right now? Sorry. No, that she's probably doing great. She's probably doing. I don't know, but I mean, rock and roll has a life of its own, and this music means a lot to people.
Can I ask
And
you a question? I'd love to get your opinion, because obviously music changes and society changes. What do you think might have put the nail in the not a nail in the coffin? I don't want to phrase it like that, because I don't want to take make I don't call it hair metal, because I don't like that name. But the rock of the 80s, what do you think was it that was the tonal shift that everybody suddenly went to, to the grunge? Like, I mean, you can always say the new flavor of the month. I always think it's just that rock of the 80s got so big, and the
yeah,
stage show is like, it was almost like the bubble had to pop, and then it was, it was like it was kind of, so if everything's like this, it's arenas and fire and this, and then you just have guys playing guitar,
right,
in fucking flannels. And it was like, it was kind of like, because after grunge got so big, and then it became new metal, and then new
right,
metal popped, and then you had the Strokes.
right.
So, yeah, so I'm curious, what do you think
Well, you have to remember in those days how influential, like we're talking about the year 1991,
yeah,
92. MTV pretty much called the shots. Like, really, like if MTV added your video into heavy rotation, there was a good chance you're going to make it big and be popular and sell
yeah,
lots of records. Like that, just people seeing you all the time in their living room on their television set. So it worked for lots of bands. It worked for Bon Jovi. It worked for Skid
worked for you.
Row.
Yeah, worked for
Yeah,
you. Yeah, you were everywhere.
when MTV added "Smells Like Teen Spirit,"
Yeah,
that exact video was that's the moment where I saw everything changing. When that video became a heavy rotation on MTV, "Smells Like Teen Spirit," that was when I saw the change.
did everybody get it? And I know I say did everybody, but when you're talking to other rock stars, guys that your contemporaries, were you guys kind of like, holy shit, you see this buzz coming out of Seattle? Or was it like, fuck these guys? Or was it like, nah, good for them, rock and roll lives in a new variation now?
Well, Skid Row in 1991, 92, we had just sold like 20 million albums. So
Yeah, I know.
I had a house in New Jersey of 3.5 acres in the woods, and it was a nice house, and I had a couple ATVs, and I was fucking exhausted
I
in
bet.
1991. 1991, 92, I had just spent 5, 6 years on the road, I was so tired. I was physically and mentally in 91, 92, completely exhausted. And I remember being in my big ass fucking house in my backyard, in my acreage and everything, playing with my kids, going, I don't give a fuck. I was like,
Sure.
I was happy to be home and going to sleep at night and not being on the road. So I mean that's real. I know people say really, it's about really, and I was just so tired.
I bet.
The only person that could understand what I'm saying is another rock musician that plays every night for years and years and
Sure.
years. So at the time I was like, oh, all right, you guys take over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna go ride my ATV and hang out with my kids and do nothing. And but then of course, that changed. And around '95, we put out another record, Subhuman Race. But it wasn't. It was Aerosmith too. It wasn't just my band. I mean,
It was
Aerosmith.
everybody. No, it was
Aerosmith
everybody.
put, yeah. What was the album they put out?
Get a grip.
No, later the dimension, music from another dimension or whatever.
I'd have to
Music
look
from, yeah,
because
they
I've
released.
got because I remember because Get a Grip, that was when Aerosmith took the shift, and they started incorporating other writers to help them
Right.
with the writing, and you
Yeah, I don't
can
like that.
see it. No, but and I know what you're saying, Sebastian, and it's completely valid. Like about the artistry
Don't
and
want to miss a
having
thing.
don't want it. Well, I mean, dude,
Yeah.
that song was a goddamn everywhere. I mean, but like, look, like I'm looking at some of the tracks for on Permanent Vacation, and I
Love
mean,
it.
Ragdoll's got another writer,
Love
Samoraya, Dude Looks Like a Lady. They're all people from outside. Now Tyler's writing, Perry's writing, Brad's writing,
Desmond
and then
Child.
you get Pump. Pump's the other big record, another thing. They got new writers, but then you've got Get a Grip, which has got fucking, this is the record that I think they took that shift into becoming the great American rock band. And I'm not discrediting anything but before, because now they realize it's like, dude, Living on an Edge, Aerosmith song, Crying, amazing, Crazy. Those three songs are great. They sound
Is
almost exactly the same. They're
is
not bad.
Eat the Rich on there?
Eat the rich, yeah.
Rich is all I've
Summertime in
been
the
getting it for. Eat
Eat the
the
rich,
rich.
yeah. And then they had 9 Lives. That was
Eat
in
one night now and
93.
back for more.
And then 9 Lives has Fallen in Love Is So Hard on the Knees, and Pink, which, is a song about pussy, which,
I'm not
it's
into
always
that
good.
one. I'm not
Yeah, it's
into
not my
that.
favorite. Fallen in Love Is So Hard on the Knees isn't a bad song. I listened to it last night, and I think it's a rocker. Just push play in 2001. So they adjusted with the times, but by going into that, I don't want to call it corporate rock, but it is kind of what kept the longevity, I think, of the band.
Probably.
A little bit. Yeah, I think so, but completely. And I know exactly what you're talking about being being exhausted, being on tour. I've done one long tour of 80 days, and when I got back, I was just,
Dead.
I know it's just, yeah, you were like done, dude. Even
I,
like
I, you know how many shows I did in 2024? You know how many?
how
I did
many?
91 cities.
Holy
Whoa.
90,
shit, dude.
91. And then in the middle of that, I shot the TV show Masked Singer and Worst Cooks in America. So I didn't even know my family when I got home. I didn't even
Sure.
know I didn't even know my wife. Like what, I hadn't been home. We're like, hey, how's it going? Hey, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like it's fucked up.
No, I
It's
bet.
and so
And also
now
go
I'm
ahead.
reconnecting with my family, but people don't realize, rock and roll, it's like going to war. Like if you're going
Yeah.
for months and months and months, you can't take the kids out of school. I mean,
No.
so it's just a lot of sacrifice. But it's living the dream. But be careful what you wish for.
Completely,
Trade-offs.
completely. That was perfectly said. All right, let's do our last song that I want to bring up. Home Tonight.
What a
What
song.
what a great song. What a great album closer, right?
Well, you know, that's Steven Tyler showing off his range, you know, going
Yeah.
from hard rock of Rats in the Cellar and Back in the Saddle to Home Tonight on the same album. That is inspiring to a guy like me that has a song like Monkey Business and then I Remember You. Aerosmith was doing that, you know, since day one. And the
Yeah.
song Home Tonight is so beautiful. It reminds me of You See Me Crying. Um, you see me crying, don't let it get you down. I think that's on Toys in the Attic.
Yeah.
You see,
I
but
think,
that,
obviously after Dream On, the perfect Steven piano power ballad from their first record really puts them on the map with so many people, but especially women that would continue to feature at least one. They'd always have a power ballad on every one of their records, and this is
yeah,
this album's. Yeah.
beautiful,
Um,
beautiful.
how much pressure as a rocker from the 80s and the 90s was there from you guys and other bands from the companies or yourselves to have the power ballad to appeal to women and the people who may not be into heavier rock? Did they say, "Where's your ballad?" every time you dropped off a
Well, they didn't
record,
need to
or
say that. They don't need to say that to me because I give them I Remember You, 18 in Life. So
yeah,
I love ballads. I'm not scared to admit that I love rock ballads. I
yeah,
love Dream On. To me, that's one of the greatest songs ever in the history of music. When he screams in the middle part, I don't know how the fuck he screams that high. It's amazing.
it really
But
is.
Stairway to Heaven, you could argue that's a power ballad.
Sure.
Beth by Kiss. Beth, I hear you calling, but I
Yeah,
can't come on. I mean, it's just beautiful music. You know, Charles Mingus said, you know, there's only two kinds of music, good and bad. And to me, you know, even a song like Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue is just great. It's beautiful melodies, great vocals, and a song like Home Tonight was Beth and Home Sweet Home, Home Tonight.
yeah.
You
It's always
know,
about home. It's always home.
yeah,
Everybody just wants to go
going home.
home. They've been on the
Yeah,
road so long, they just want to go home.
absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
so I've always loved a great ballad. You know, I'm a sucker for that. I think, you know, I started in the church choir when I was a little kid, and I just think that ballads show off the lead singer big time, whether he's
Yeah, of
good or
course.
bad. You know, the song we're doing a video for right now is a ballad, and I can't wait for people to check it out. It's got
I
some
love it.
crazy screams in it.
Like, please
Some
send us along the
Steven
music.
Tyler. Huh?
Send us the music. Send us the music. We'll play it. We'll shout it out on the podcast. We'll play it at the end of the episode. We'll take care of you, man, because this has
Cool. It's
been
called To Live Again. To Live Again. The last song on my record, my new record. And then I
so
got,
so
sorry, go
what
ahead.
I want to ask you, Sebastian, because we're basically done with the songs. We're going to go into final questions. Since that you've worked with Aerosmith, you know these guys, and you said you had all these stories. Do you have a story that you'd love to tell the audience? One of your favorite stories about you and Aerosmith before we wrap this up? Because doesn't have to be about rocks, just good, bad, big or small.
There's a lot of stories. I can remember, you know, at the end of our tour, Aerosmith came in and they bought us a stereo on wheels, like in a road case with a plaque on the top to the boys in Skid Row from the boys in Aerosmith, and they all signed it and everything. And somewhere that's in storage, Skid Row, hey, that's mine too. Okay, well, um, there's, I mean, you know, there's lots of cool little moments. I remember I was walking down a hallway with Joe Perry in one of the shows, and he had these black leather fringe pants that I thought were so cool. And I go, Joe, who made you those pants, man? Can you give me your number? Can I get? He goes, why? So we can look exactly the same? I go, what? And he goes, he didn't want me to be wearing his pants. And
Those are
I
his
like
pants,
talking.
dude.
Yeah, like it goes. Well, I don't want to look exactly the same. Like, why do you have to wear my pants? And I was like, it like taught me like get your own fucking shit together. Like,
Yeah,
like get your own pants, Sebastian.
I
I don't
love
know
it.
why it sticks in my head. There's lots of little moments. I remember we opened for Poison um, in Boston, and this is my solo band, and I had just had a little girl. She was like a baby, and I had lost my voice the day before, and that doesn't happen. Knock on wood. And I was all fucking nervous, like I couldn't sing and everything, and I was all freaked out. And I was on the tour bus with this my baby girl, and Joey Kramer from Aerosmith came to see the show. And I was like,
Wow.
what? And he goes, Joey Kramer's here. And Joey came on the bus. He's like, hey, Sebastian. And he was playing with my baby that I just had, and there's pictures of him. And I walked out there and sang incredible. And a lot of it, because I knew Joey Kramer was watching me sing.
Right.
Sure.
It's like, you don't have time to fucking lose your voice now. I can remember Skid Row. We played the first time we played in Boston. We played the Channel. It was this famous club that if you guys are in Boston watching this, the Channel. And we played it. It was hot as hell. It was like 100 degrees up there or more. And I turned around, and on the stage by the monitor board was Tom Hamilton of Aerosmith, like watching my band. And I couldn't believe it that Tom Hamilton would come to our show and watch us. I mean, these are the memories you have, right?
I love it. What great
so,
memories, though, man.
Yeah, and Tom's got his new band. He's still rocking, which is inspiring, because I know he's had like throat cancer or whatever it is. And he's out there with his brand new band, slugging it out in clubs, got a new record. So Tom Hamilton is still rocking. Amazing.
Dude, that rules. That rules. Sebastian, this has been so great. Let's do our final questions, but please come back on for another record, man. This has been such a treat, and I'm such a fan. What's your favorite song on this record? You already said it, but just one more time. It's Combination, right?
My favorite is Combination. Yeah.
Yeah, rocker, man. It's so great. What is there anything on the record that you skip over?
No.
It's a perfect record from top to bottom. Can you fuck to this record?
There is something on a record I skip over.
What is that?
I skip from side one to side two.
There you go. There you go. Can you fuck to this record?
I mean, I'm sure you could. I find listening to music while doing that is a little bit distracting.
Sure.
My brain either goes to the music or the fucking. It doesn't really want to mix them both up, really.
You start humming the song while you're fucking.
I'm saying too much here.
No, I dig it.
An Aerosmith record and see what happens.
Yeah, let us know.
What would be? Over? Are we done? A guy that I look up to that has helped me. Well, that's changed over the years. Steven Tyler at one time was that guy.
I love it.
I would say now Elvis Basquet, my producer of my new record, is somebody that I look up to and has helped me immeasurably. And the guy that mastered my record is Robert Ludwig, one of the top mastering engineers of all time, if not the top. I never met the guy, but he made my record and he's helped me. But I've had lots of people that have helped me. When Skid Row started, it was John Bon Jovi. Aerosmith helped us. Motley Crue helped us. Guns N' Roses helped us a lot. So there's been a lot. But I would say now it's my producer, Elvis Basquet.
I love that. And I love just even mentioning the people that you mentioned, like how lucky you are to have so many of these incredible, not just people, but God, like legends, rock stars that saw the talent that you had and the music you were able to make and really wanted, because not a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people, they'll help some guys, but a lot of times they're jealous and they don't want to see people succeed because they might take over. And they they recognized and really helped you guys become what you became. And so that's really incredible, buddy.
Well, I gotta say, my manager, Rick Sales, is somebody that I look up to and really helps me more than I could ever put into words. And years ago, it was Doc McGee who helped me out years and years ago, and his brother Scott McGee. And they actually took care of us at the very last ever Kiss show at Madison Square Garden, got us like front row seats and took care of us and went back to their party after the show and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, there's been a lot of people that have helped. Rick Sales, Jason Flom, who's the guy that signed Skid Row to Atlantic Records when I was 19. I look up to him, and he's helped me a lot. He also got me in Jekyll and Hyde on Broadway. He's helped me throughout my career. Gerardo Martinez from Reigning Phoenix Music, my new label. If you've got a record label and a team of people that help you in 2025, that's a rare situation.
Yeah.
I have a whole management team. I have a record company around the world, publicists. I got all these people that help me out, and that's who I want to thank. Emma Humphreys, Ernie Gonzalez. These are people behind the scenes that I couldn't be doing what I'm doing if I didn't have
Take it.
Team Baz.
I love it. I love it. What would be your elevator pitch to get someone to listen to this record? How would you sum up this album to somebody?
I would say if you want to hear the sound of cool, if you want to hear the sound of the late 70s, if you want to hear the sound of a combination of heroin and cocaine and booze,
This is it.
I mean, the title of the record says it all. Aerosmith rocks. Hello?
Yeah, you're not
that
lying.
says it all. It says it all. It rocks. If you want to rock, listen to Aerosmith rocks, and you
Love
will
it.
be rocked.
Promote away one more time. Talk about the new record everywhere where we can find you.
Man, new album, new video. We just finished it today, called To Live Again. It's the power ballad off the album. It's me stretching my vocal cords to sound as much like Steven Tyler as I can. So check it out. It'll be out any day now. I hope you enjoyed me on the Worst Cooks in America. Last night I was eliminated from the show because there's only one thing that I can make at a restaurant, and that's reservations.
There you go.
But I just completed that show. So yeah, the new video, I'm very excited about it. And it'll be ready for you to watch any day.
We'll dig into it, buddy. Thank you again for coming on, brother. We really appreciate
All
it.
right. Aerosmith rocks.
Aerosmith rocks.
Yeah. The Blue Army has spoken.
So we're done, Sebastian. So we're done. So here, Sunday is the show at the Comedy Store. It's at 8:00. Would you? Because I'll ask Bill if he wants to come and play drums. Would you want to fly in or drive in to sing?
What day is today? Is it Friday?